Hello, everyone. I'm sure by now you have all heard about the total meltdown in Hollywood that seems to have been escalating for some time. And from everything that I've researched and watched about the Screen Actors Guild joining the strike for their own reasons, um, it appears that the grievances have everything to do with us living in a low moment of the corporate mentality. I've talked about this a lot on my channel before. Um, it's it's not a surprise to me. That the surprise would really be if they hadn't tried to make these decisions that then sent the working people, you know, into a corner where they feel like they have no option left. And this isn't something that is wanting to get into a debate about whether or not there should be unions. Let's not go there. This is about, you know, people being used and exploited. This isn't just about the A-listers that make millions of dollars a movie. This is about the people who are trying to make it in an already mercenary business from the perspective of the people who hold all the cards. And it's always been that way to a degree, but ever since these companies have been eating one another up, as I've talked about in past videos, I'm both encouraged and at the same time a little bemused by seeing YouTube channels right now talk about how companies like Disney and Warner Brothers are in a mode where all they know how to do is acquire. They're just buying things, and I kind of sit back and I'm like, yeah, I was saying that a few years ago. Like it's not a new phenomenon, but it's amazing how long it takes some people to catch up and realize that's what's been going on. And once they get to a certain size, and once they have fat cats at the top who are just professional executives who are responding and reacting to this strike that hasn't happened in this kind of scale in 63 years in the film business. And they're reacting from a location in Idaho called Billionaires Summer Camp. You couldn't write this kind of farce and get away with it. So while we may deride and sneer at actors on the A level from time to time, because a lot of them are approaching billionaire status, I say a lot, a handful of them are approaching billionaire status. We have to watch them, you know, pimp their cell phone companies in ads all the time because the millions of dollars they make in movies just apparently isn't enough. And that's not singularly a slam at Ryan Reynolds. That is a phenomenon that's happening and has been happening with these actors for a long time. But they are trying to protect the actors below them in the pecking order. They are trying to protect the background players and the people trying to break through as an extra, and the people trying to get their union cards and get fair pay, and the people who are character actors and don't have the runaway 10 to 15 million a movie careers like they do. They are picketing for them and for the integrity of the system. And similarly, the writers are doing the same. I simply don't know if that's enough at this point. We've been watching as the customers for the past 10 years. We've been watching the quality of movies deteriorate and the quality of their communications and relationship with us deteriorate to a level that is stunning to behold. You know it. I know it. American filmmaking, American Hollywood has become so hopelessly corporatized I honestly don't think there's a way back. The only way back for them is total collapse. Now, that is not for us to determine, unfortunately. Total collapse happens due to a series of market forces that are beyond our control and, frankly, beyond my comprehension. I see these billionaire CEOs at the top who are gutting Warner Brothers, and they're totally mismanaging Disney after buying up huge percentage chunks of the filmmaking industry. So now there's more to lose. In other words, there's more tied up in the failure, which that's always a bad symptom for any industry, whether you're talking about automobiles or movies or what have you. I mean, power tools. It would be bad if there's no competition. And frankly, right now, there isn't enough competition in the marketplace. They've been allowed to run away with the game. And the only way that this is going to right itself is for them to collapse under their own terrible decisions. And they're gonna do some damage on the way down. They're gonna take a lot of resources and opportunity and potential with them on the way down. They're gonna squander a lot. But the words of the people picketing right now, and Fran Drescher of the Screen Actors Guild, resonate pretty loudly with me. You know, this has got to change. With them trying to exploit and abuse AI at the expense of these actors and at the expense of writers and special effects artists and everything like that. If they see all those people as expendable, then what happens when they also see their office people as expendable? What happens when the end game is a CEO telling an AI to generate movies while in his mind's eye thinking he's going to make 70% of the profit and give the other 30% to the shareholders? Is that what we want? Because that's what they want. As they dream from their $400 million super yachts, that's what they want. Now, you might be saying, well, Michael, there's no way to control that. In a way, there is, because it's already happening. What I mean is, when I say we can't control it, there's no way to control what the power players in Hollywood are going to do. They're going to keep making movies that get worse and worse and worse. They're going to keep making decisions that gut the things that are still doing okay, like Turner Classic Movies. Turner Classic Movies has never been a loss leader financially. It has always been a solid, steady, amount of modest income. But they've got this mentality now that modest income isn't good enough, because all they're trying to do is change the numbers in the upward trajectory for the next quarter, and then the next quarter, and then the next quarter. Short-term vision, which at this point is no vision at all. We've seen what they've done to Star Wars. We've seen what they're doing to Marvel. We've seen what they did to Indiana Jones in one film. We're seeing how they never could get DC together, because these people are not creatives. I've said it for years in my thought pieces about my experience in corporate business and corporate culture. And Hollywood is in a late stage of that right now. It's not going to get better for them. They are on the path to collapse. There's a huge opportunity here. And it's an opportunity to remind another corporation what their real advantages are, because they've also forgotten it. We're living in this kind of messed up time where billionaire CEOs are celebrities now, and they own a lot of the news outlets because they bought them. So there's a lot of news in the press about how awesome billionaires are, even as they make all these boneheaded decisions. You know, Bob Iger owns, well, as the CEO, his company that he runs owns ABC. And, you know, you've got, I don't remember who it is that owns the Washington Post. Is it Bezos? I can't remember. I can't keep it straight. It's satirically stupid at this point. It's socio-political satire, but we're living through it, you know? We as YouTubers have an opportunity to remind YouTube what its original competitive differentiator and mission was. And we've got to seize this moment to do it. Back when we were pre-pandemic, there was this shift going on at YouTube where they were going very corporate with how they prioritized channels, if you recall. The algorithm was greasing the skids for these kind of channels, whether they were music labels or movie companies, video game companies. And at the time, we raised our hands and said, hey, should this be called CorpTube now? Because it doesn't really feel like YouTube anymore. It feels like Corporation Tube. And they were playing games. And YouTube plays a lot of games with content creators, for those of you that don't know. They play a lot of games. And then suddenly the pandemic happened. And everybody was trapped in their homes. And that's when, if you recall, even though live streams were already a thing, they were not the thing they are now. And they became that thing because everybody was trapped in their homes and movie production had shut down and nobody could go to movie theaters. All of a sudden there was YouTube, and people kind of rediscovered it in a new way because we were live streaming from our houses because there was nothing else to do. And other people who didn't spend that amount of time watching YouTube were suddenly getting familiar with everything that YouTube had to offer. We come out of the lockdown, and YouTube, as of February of this year, starts pulling more levers. Now they want to chase TikTok. And I said then to some of my friends who are also content creators, I said, it's amazing that instead of leaning into their competitive differentiator, which is, we are the anti-TikTok, we are giving you the kind of videos you can see on the internet that TikTok cannot provide. We're not going to try and compete with TikTok. We're going to be separate and apart from TikTok. You go to TikTok to get this, you go to YouTube to get this. But now there's a new lockdown. Hollywood has put its face in the mud. They have dropped to the ground. Movies aren't being made, and the movies that have been made in the last few months, Mission Impossible notwithstanding, the movies that have been made in the past few months to a year have not impressed anybody. I know we've got a few more movies coming out, but there's going to be a serious lag after this, because I don't think this is going to be a short ride. The corporations have said, the corporate studios have said, we are going to do this to wait it out until these people can't pay their mortgages. That's what they said about the writers. That's how much respect they had for the writers. They're like, we're not going to negotiate. We're just going to wait until they're starving and then crawl back to the table and accept our terms. Because that sounds like a really great scenario to put anybody in who's trying to make a living. And now with the actors, it's probably going to be the same way, because you have supremely arrogant people running these companies now, because as they've eaten up more companies and more companies and more companies and become bigger and bigger and bigger with fewer people at the top, they own most of the wealth. So therefore they have even more power than they had when they were separate companies, which is why it's not good to consolidate power into the hands of a few. That's nothing we can control. Hollywood's going to have to live and die by its own mistakes. They've been losing millions of subscribers to their streaming platforms that they abandoned physical media for because they wanted to control. They wanted to give us the illusion of choice by gaining more control for themselves by actually taking away our options. And so now you've seen the streaming services magically take things away that you thought were kind of part of your service agreement. I can access this and watch it because I pay for this service. Let me get rid of my physical media collection, as so many people did. And that proved to be a mistake. I don't have a Disney Plus account. I wasn't going to give the biggest, most monopolized corporation in Hollywood more money every month for a streaming service that I knew was intended to take away my options and my choices. YouTubers have a unique opportunity here, even more unique than we had during the lockdown. It's time to remind the audience, and it's also time to remind YouTube as a parent company what its advantage is. Because TikTok can't replace Hollywood. TikTok can't replace Tinseltown. YouTube can. The content creators on YouTube can. They're the replacement. We are the replacement for television shows, long-form films, narrative pieces, news, and done in a fun, unique, and different way that isn't controlled by corporate cultures that run these big companies. Now, yes, we are beholden to a company that is Google, of which YouTube is a subsidiary, that makes boneheaded corporate decisions that affect us. But we can get their attention. We can get their attention by showing them through our content that isn't 30-second videos on TikTok, that we can step up and give the public what Hollywood is completely dysfunctional in delivering at this stage. The quality of the movies was already getting terrible. Across the board, you can name on one hand like the number of movies this year so far that have been worth seeing. We don't have to worry about all the stupid political maneuverings and rules and BS that led them to this crisis. We don't have to worry about how it's going to shake out. Because I have heard increasingly over the past 6 years from all kinds of people from all walks of life how they by and large don't really see that many movies anymore because they spend most of their time enjoying content creators on YouTube that they know have the same tier in life that they do. In other words, they're getting their entertainment, they're getting their enjoyment and their social interactions from creators who are on the same playing field that they are. YouTube. That's why it's called YouTube. YouTube itself as a company has kind of forgotten that, especially trying to chase TikTok. But they can be reminded, and it's up to us to do that. You know, I sat back yesterday and I thought for several hours, I was like, I watched Fran Drescher's speech and I watched Bob Iger's response and or read his response. And I was kind of following it throughout the day. And all I kept thinking was, this is why Hollywood is completely obnoxious. And this is why we need to get farther and farther away from it if we can. There's no way that an A24 can save us. And they are ultimately a non-essential industry. Yeah, they employ a lot of people, but clearly they employ a lot of people very poorly. And they're trying to take even more from them. To a ridiculous degree. Replacing them with AI if they can. All of them. Which is messed up beyond thought. And I just kept thinking to myself, there is a massive opportunity here to finally remind YouTube what we're worth and what we can provide. I've been working on this big movie review, a very, very involved, long movie review, very detailed movie review. I'm scripting it right now. And as I stared at that script and thought about what was going on, I said, you know, this is the kind of thing that people enjoy, and there's so much variety out there on YouTube for people to enjoy what they like, whether it's car restoration, car racing, you know, interior decorating. I even watched a video today on putting new heels on dress shoes. Don't know how I found myself watching it, but my point is that, and that channel had 500,000 subscribers. There's something out there for all of the viewers that are disillusioned, understandably, by Hollywood right now. And Hollywood not only has disillusioned and disenfranchised so many audience members while still gladly taking their money at increased prices, they have now also disenfranchised the people that help them make their products. We don't have that barrier. And more people have already seen the benefit of watching people on their level making content for them. They support us. They want to donate Patreon dollars. They want to do all these things to support these channels because whether they're self-aware of it or not, they know that that's where the real value comes from, is from people on their level saying and doing and producing things. So I've decided that while I'm already committed to trying to make the best quality videos possible, I always have, I'm really going to redouble my efforts right now to not only make the best quality videos I can, but also make the most interesting and or fun and or both and rewatchable videos possible. Things that will bring enjoyment to the people that I know are in my audience to a level that they'll want to watch them twice, to the level that they'll want to watch them multiple times. Just like they used to enjoy movies, which now movies aren't even rewatchable. They're barely watchable once. If you've seen The Eternals or Indiana Jones 5 or your average DC film like The Flash, make YouTube remember why you make content. Make YouTube stand up and see it with your view counts and the quality of your presentation and the number of people who are going to be coming to YouTube over the next few months because of what's going on right now in Hollywood. Naturally speaking, they will be looking for something else to do and watch and consume and enjoy. I've heard people say before that movies, they're not unessential or non-essential, whatever you want to call it, because they are the campfire stories of our time. And that art is essential. And art is essential, but I don't think we can call corporate Hollywood art anymore. You don't make art by committee. No time to discuss this as a committee, as Han Solo famously said. Art is made by a person or small group of people with a common vision that are willing to either collaborate or somebody with a singular focus like an auteur. We have that opportunity to make that art. Whatever your jam is. Because I think it's fair to say at this point, Hollywood is no longer the campfire. Hollywood walked away from the campfire a long time ago and built themselves an ivory tower that they sit in and make garbage. We're the ones sitting around the campfire telling new stories. Whether it's commentary and analysis or actual narrative or funny, quirky little characters, whatever our audiences enjoy, that's the campfire story we're providing. I'm very galvanized by what's happened. I feel bad for all the people in Hollywood right now, but my reality is my reality. And I came to YouTube because it was YouTube, user-generated content. And YouTube has wanted to make it a conveyor belt of BS lately. A lot of our audience just waits for YouTube to feed it something. They don't go to the channel pages. Channels. They don't surf the channels like they did with their remotes when we didn't have the internet. They need to be. They need to be going there and getting excited about the channels that they watch to the point that they go to the channel pages and browse the actual video libraries of all of our content. That's the only way to beat YouTube at its algorithm with these shorts. That's the only way it's gonna turn that around. And this is the opportunity to turn that around. This is our window. The question is, are enough of us gonna use it? I'm certainly gonna try. And I hope that you guys will too, all of you out there, all of the content creators that see this video, not just the ones I know personally, but all of them, all of you. And so with that, I got to get back to making this video because I want it to be something that people enjoy and that people remember, and something that will be more satisfying than what Hollywood has been making, even as the echoes of their engine breaking down yesterday are still in my ears. So I'll see you on the next video.